Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Matty31. I'm going to do a speculation video on the Xfinity race. If you watched the truck video, or if you're interested in truck race before the truck race, there's another video on the channel, so check that out. And as I said, that one, hopefully my voice will hold up. I had 6 MRIs yesterday, 3 with, 3 without contrast. With having that many, they had to put me under, so my throat's a little sore from the breathing tube and everything. So, but look like the results are good. So, let's get to it. We got Atlanta race here. So, they just repaved this a couple years ago. So it's almost like Talladega and Daytona as a super speedway, but it's shorter. So we don't have practice or qualifying. And actually, if you look at the app, it looks like qualifying is before practice, which is kind of weird. I didn't think they're having practice on tracks like this because of the whole we don't want to wreck cars and how much practice does it take to drive wide open on and make 4 left turns. So but we have the results from last time. We've got some decent data here from previous races, so we'll just jump right into it. So again, it's hard to know how to treat this race because it's not really a plate race where and plate race they don't use plates anymore, but like super speedway like Daytona or Talladega, where you just want to stack the back and just place differential means everything. And there's such a chance of having so many wrecks that you just don't really want to play guys that are up front, because if they wreck, then your day's over. And then a lot of guys that are down in the back of the field can catch up and have great days and break the slate. So I don't think it's a case of that. I look back and like my prime plays were in like the middle of the pack last time. There were a bunch of accidents. So if you're looking at all the pretty colors, I'll explain them as I go. What they mean. I just kind of color coded some names just to remind me as I go through the video. So how are they out here? So I looked at their Daytona 23, their Atlanta 23, and their Charlotte 23, and then their Atlanta 22, and then an average of super speedways to figure out their ranking. And then their starting order is based on their average starting order on these types of tracks. So I also took in, season form and a little bit of track history, only dating back a couple years, just because of the reconfiguration of the track. It used to be a high tire wear track and not the speed it has. So just take a drink quick. So Austin Hill won the spring race. He has looked really good on super speedways, and this Childress program has also. So I don't care where he starts. I think I have as a prime play. If you just look at his numbers here, top 5 average running position. His DNF rate is really good. So at these types of tracks, he just gets it. He wants to get out there. He wants to lead. He wants to, challenge for the win. And he usually is able to not wreck. So really like him. I think you could play Cole Custer in cash also. He started 8th, finished 12th. He's found a lot of trouble early in the year, so that kind of pulls his numbers down. But his current form recently, and don't even get me into last week with the whole BS with NASCAR calling the race before as an official race and make that was just such a tragedy. And I know we all wrote DK and they told us to go pound sand for it. And if I had any power, I'd tell us all to boycott this week just to show them, but it won't matter because then people still play anyways, and there'll be so much overlay in the contest and they'll just win a bunch of money and it'll just be stupid. But anyways, furious about that. I like the concept and everything. It sucks that the weather ruined it. It was better than I expected for like the whole Chicago street race. It wasn't a hot mess, but they should have never called that race. And the other thing they could have done is run 2 caution laps and called it 2, which I get that, but I just really wish there was more provisions for them to be able to finish the race, because I think it would have been exciting. And people got messed up with pit strategy and stuff, and the lineup was all shuffled up, and it was just a hot mess. But anyways, Cole Custer, congratulations, you won it. Would you want it anyways? Who knows? I mean, he did have a pretty decent car there, so I guess I can't be too mad. But for this race, I think he's a cash play. John Hunter Nemechek, GPP, he started 2nd, finished 8th, usually finds a little bit of trouble, doesn't really run well on super speedways, and didn't even in the truck series either. So I think he's playable, but he's a GPP for me. Justin Allgaier is usually pretty good. The whole JR Motorsports team is usually good, but last time he struggled here in qualifying. He was 19th and he finished 29th. The red means he was in an accident, so lost 10 place differential points. Also didn't run well at Daytona either. But as you can see in Atlanta and Charlotte, like he was top 5 average running position. In Atlanta 22, he was up, not bad. Track style average 4th overall. So I think you definitely can consider him. You know, so I think, you know, what I'll do is I'll take Austin Hill and then just look for these guys that are really good. If they like qualify outside of the top 10, you know, there's some place differential. I think that's definitely how I'm going to build cash. Chandler Smith, he lost his rear end gear or something. College cars are usually strong on these type of tracks here. So he started 6th, finished 28th, but overall, you know, I think if he starts between 10 and 28, he's definitely somebody that I'd look for, because there's definitely a chance to move up. Brandon Jones, I'm going to give a prime play here. He's been always good at these tracks. Again, he had some struggles at Atlanta here. He 21st start, finished 19th. I don't think he got into any wrecks, but the car was just off. But I definitely see 8,500. I love the price tag here, and I hope he doesn't qualify super well, because I think he can definitely get up there. He's one that likes to be aggressive. This is a track style that definitely suits him. You know, he used to run up front when he was in Gibbs cars, and now in the JR car, I think he can get up there and do well also. Ty Gibbs drops down from Cup and he goes into number 19, which is one of the all-star cars here, and he's definitely one to look for. We'll see. And Cup, he hasn't been great on super speedways, but he was decent. Ran Charlotte here, and he also ran Atlanta here in 22. So all his numbers come back as number 1 overall, of course, because he's a Cup driver and he's so dominant last year. But we'll just have, and he's got a great car. We'll just have to see where he qualifies. Definitely in play for cash here. Hemrick, I think, can definitely a cash play. Started 11th, got the 2nd. He's done well again, his collie program in place differential races. His average running position wasn't great, because I think he like kind of hung out in the back, and then he came forward towards the end, which is perfectly fine, because the results were what you wanted. You got 9 place differential points, the 2nd place finish, which was good. So I think he's another one that's okay. I don't think he's going to win these races. He does the potential to, because sometimes he's such a wild card. But, you know, I think at 8,300, he's a nice cash play. Barry Narje and Sam Mayer, these guys are almost the same play here, $400 apart. Started 9th and 10th, finished 7th and 9th. You know, they do what they do. They're good cars that usually understand pack racing, and, you know, 5th and 8th overall. You can't go wrong here with these guys. They have a great DNF rate. They do well on super speedways. So, you know, JR Motorsports car, I would probably just pick the one that qualifies the lowest, and just plug them in your lineup between Allgaier, Barry and Smith. I think that's definitely the way to go. But I like Jones the best out of the 4 of them, especially with the price and, you know, what I've seen him do also. Riley Herbst is a GPP for me. He always seems to find trouble no matter what the track is. He started 5th, finished 5th, which is decent, 7th overall. Didn't do well in Atlanta here the first time, but his average running position on similar tracks is decent. So definitely think he's one that you can play in a GPP. Again, he understands it and stuff. He just has bad luck. Sammy Smith had the pole last time, had some issues and ended up finishing 17th. So, but overall, I think that he's one to look at too in the Joe Gibbs program here. 8,600 is not a bad price. So see how he qualifies within the JR Motorsports cars. And again, I'm just picking the one that qualifies down the furthest, as long as there's no issues in qualifying in practice, and they should be able to have the most place differential for you. Sheldon Creed, I think, should be a prime play, but again, I've just seen so many times he be too aggressive and end up in the wall and crashing on these super speedways that I can't play him. I think he probably should be the first guy in my GPP lineup, because he has the upside to win a race and to go out there and lead almost every single lap of the race, because because that's in his DNA. But it's also in his DNA to be too aggressive, to bump too much, or to, you know, try to make a bold move and not have it pay off. Jeb Burton, I think we have to look at it cash. This Jordan Anderson program has been phenomenal on super speedways. So he's definitely someone, no matter where he qualifies, I think I'll look at as cash. If he qualifies in the top 10, maybe not. But if he's outside the top 10, I think it definitely, you know, he held his position 16 here in the last race. But again, like I said, they have really made a lot of strides here in the super speedway program, and I really like that. Sieg is another good super speedway driver here, started 14th, finished 11th, 13th overall. If he starts outside the top 15, then definitely, you know, you can play him in cash and he'll definitely rise up. I still like the JR Motorsports cars or maybe Sammy Smith better. But if you need to save a little bit of money, then Ryan Sieg's definitely in play. Justin Haley jumps down from the Cup to jump into the 10 All-Star car here for Collie Racing. Another good car. This car was run by, was it Truex last time out? I can't remember who ran it. The last, let me see who was in the 10 for the last race. Truex was in the 19 and the 10 was Justin Haley. So he jumped down for this one also. So he did run this race. So this is definitely comparable. Started 18th, finished 10th. Definitely a great play here in cash. Just the price tag, I kind of like the JR car is a little bit better, but you know, he always did well on super speedways here when he was in Xfinity, and he does well up there in Cup also. So I just don't like his track style average. I think, you know, there are a couple DNFs in there, probably pulled it down, but I think Haley's definitely in play and someone to consider also. Greg Van Alst, Alpha Prime Racing, I think is a GPP play here. These cars are okay on super speedways. He, in his limited action that he's had on these tracks, he's just not someone that I really want to trust here. If he starts way down and Alpha Prime cards better tech wise than some of the other ones. So if he starts in the 30s, I consider him, but probably not. Brett Moffitt, this is his style of track. I am the Brett Moffitt whisperer. I tell you when and when not to play him, and this is a time to play him. Started 12th, finished 6th, had a good day last time. I don't know if I'd start him 12th, but I think I had him as a cash play last time because I did feel good about him on this type of track. So hopefully he starts down further, and you know, is definitely, but these 7K guys could be the no man's land. But like I said, he and Burton are definitely once I like and create, maybe there's a nice little 7K like middle of the road GPP to start there with like Burton, Sieg. Sorry, Creed's up there 10K. I'm looking at the wrong line. But like some of these 7K guys here, especially like Clements, I really like this guy in cash. 23rd, finished 15th. This single car program, family owned, is great on super speedways. Stays out of trouble, many years of experience, understands how to draft in it successfully. So definitely, you know, maybe like a nice 7K build here of like Burton, Sieg, Moffitt, and Clement. You know, maybe throw Creed in there. I don't know how much money's left or if that even works mathematically, but you know, that could be kind of a cool build, especially if they start like in the middle of the pack here. This is kind of the range I looked at last time to build my lineup, just because I knew there'd be some place differential here. Klingerman fought Hill till the end for the win, ended up finishing 4th last time. So he was definitely up there. Didn't do as good as Charlotte, but definitely 10th overall here. Don't discount this car at 8,800. I think he's got a lot of upside, especially if he qualifies down lower like he has sometimes in the past. Parker Retzloff is a very talented young driver, like very studious, like observes, learns, applies, and does well. This Jordan Anderson team, he did really well at Daytona. He got in a crash here. It wasn't his fault. He was collateral damage in the Atlanta race, so that's why he started 17th and finished 27th, but I definitely think there's a lot of upside for him for cash. Anthony Alfredo in this BJ McLeod car, like started 15th, started 14th, not a ton of upside, not a ton of floor, but you know, if he's the last guy you land, I don't hate it. Kyle Weatherman has been decent. He did not drive this car last time. He drove another car and had a decent day. I think he was involved in an accident. Yes. So he started 20th, finished 33rd. but Weatherman's always been good, and this DGM racing car isn't horrible. So if he qualifies, I think he's definitely one that can be in consideration for GPP. Joe Graff Jr., I do not play him. He is just a human caution flag. 5,200. I don't care where he starts. If he starts dead last, I will not have any of him because he could be the first one to crash, and watch the guys around him because you could take them out also. Josh Williams. I'm so excited to talk about Josh Williams. If you remember, this is the race where he got run into and got some damage and tried to go fix it with the bear bond, and part fell off and he got black flagged. And NASCAR told him to park it, and he was arguing with him. He did park it, but right on the start finish line, and just walked off and left his car and got suspended for one race. And now he's back. But he is actually a really good super speedway driver. So I will play him again in cash. I think he's got something to prove. He started 22nd. He finished 32nd. I think he can definitely at least finish, where he starts, if not to move up into the top 20. I don't think he's got like top 15 upside, but the guy is definitely a good super speedway. I think he's got something to prove, and the wreck he was in was not his fault. So I will be playing me some Josh Williams because I can't wait to see what happens. Kyle Sieg is the Sieg program is decent, but like start 26, 26. So like he'll probably start somewhere in the 20s, probably finish somewhere. So, if last guy in, no problem. Josh Bilicki, Chastain's brother was in this 91 the last race, but I don't think Bilicki, he's more of a road course guy. So I'm out on him here. Even if he starts dead last, I don't know if this car is going to make it the full way. Jeffrey Earnhardt has been decent on this type of race. Got in a wreck last time, but if you finish, his average finish is like 28th. So if he starts 28th on back, then he's definitely someone that you can look at. Kaz Growler, same situation, 29th overall. So these two guys are very similar plays, but you get a $700 savings on Earnhardt. So I wouldn't play them. Parker Chase wasn't in this car, but this car did wreck last time. He did okay. What I forget what car he was in for this, but he didn't do too bad in his first race here. So let's see, 25th. 30th he finished. So Connor Mozak was in this car, and maybe Parker Chase wasn't in this car, but anyways, nonetheless, younger driver. I think he's just a GPP play. Like it just doesn't. Again, it all depends on where he starts. If he starts down in the 30s, I think he's fine. Ryan Ellis, GPP play, also same story. Brendan Poole, he had an amazing. And he's been good on super speedways. And this JD Motorsports car has been questionable, but it's been fine on races like this. Started 29th, finished 6th. And, we've seen Brendan Poole, like in Cup Series, do well in speedway races. He just stays out of trouble. And then towards the end, makes his run and usually follows the right car. So not a prime play, but I think he's definitely a decent cash play. Mason Massey was not in this car last time. The car started 20th, 31st, finished 20th. So he's been decent on these types of tracks, 20th in Charlotte. So I think that, again, it all depends on where he qualifies. Not super excited about him. Garrett Smithley, GPP to fade. Nothing special there. David Starr, same thing. GPP to fade. Blaine Perkins, I could list him as a prime play here because he started 36th, dead last, got up to 22nd. He has been okay. It's a different car though. He was in the 07, but the 02 is used to be I believe what Brett Moffitt's team used to be, the R Motorsports, and they used to have like a bunch of cars here. So it's a decent team. They always did well on this type of track, and he looked good here last time out. So again, look at his average running position. It's only because he just runs towards the back, but he's the one that can be there at the end and let attrition be his friend. So I definitely think, I'm going to be playing some Blaine Perkins as a value play. Chad Fincham's a fade. I don't know if the 66 even qualifies. It's been so slow and so bad. Mason Magulo, Gene Greenlight, I don't know. And then Akata or Gata. I don't even know if this car makes it to the into the race either. The 53 last time. What happened? The 53 Joey Gase was in it. It was in an accident. It started 33rd. It finished 37th. So, just a fade for me. So again, I know it's hard without practice and qualifying to see any of this. So Austin Hill is definitely and Blaine Perkins, I think, is going to be my favorite value if he starts down in like the 30s or something close to the bottom. But we talked about the guys that I like that are good values here, like Weatherman, like Williams, like Earnhardt, Kaz Grala, ones that have definitely Pool, who have done really well as advancing up, starting in the back. And then you've got your two Cup guys to keep your eye on, if you want to try to work one of your lineup. I think Hill, but the best cars have always been like the Gibbs cars and the JR cars. So, again, look at who they are there. And I think just look and see who qualified, who didn't have any issues. The worst, and I think I'm going to plug them in there. So that's what I got. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up with Murray31 on Twitter. It's going to be a short window turnaround to try to get this all put together. So if you want all the information on this, sign up for FSi DFS. Go into the description of the video, go to our website. It is $5, and you can get into Discord, and you will have the updated sheet when we actually have practice and qualifying and all the data, and what the final plays will be for cash, prime, GPP, and fade, and who my core is for cash and GPP. It is super cheap. But appreciate you watching the videos. Thank you so much. If these videos help you, please share with your friends. And the cool thing about if you watched last week's speculation video, I nailed 5 out of the top 6 drivers and the number 1 and 2 in order after qualifying. Like, we were so on with like the math and the model and stuff on that. So I can't say I'm going to do that on this Super Speedway or Atlanta, just because it's just such a weird type of track. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see how close we came on this one. But these speculation videos have actually been very helpful to talk things out, to look at drivers, to call out some people that I think can be successful in this type of format based on future or current form and past experience and similar types of tracks. So thank you for watching. Appreciate it. You know how to get a hold of me. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Cup videos should be coming out tonight or tomorrow morning, so look forward to that. We will have practice and qualifying. I know the exact order for that one. So appreciate you watching as always. Have a great weekend. Go luck in your contest. I'll see you next time.